So, good morning everyone, how are you?
Good morning.
Okay, for those that don't know me, my name is Marisa. I currently hold a master's degree in counseling. I'm also registered with BAPSA, which is the Board of Addiction Professionals. I'm registered at the highest level, which is level 10, as a professional addiction specialist. Okay, so why am I here? When I was in grade 1 and the teacher asked me what I wanted to be, trauma and addiction specialist was not it. I think most of the staff here can agree with me that this field can be very fulfilling, but most often it is heartbreaking, it is devastating, and it's tough. Why? Because people die, often. I remember whenever I had counseling here while I was still working, I always used to try to fit as much as I possibly could into a single counseling session, because I never knew if the next time that I came here that person would still be here. So I remember there was like this desperation, just trying to get through to this person, because they ran away and they left and they died. So I started on this journey about 7 years ago. Some of my loved ones, people close to me, was struggling with addiction, and I wanted to learn and understand so that I can understand them better. So in this time, I've realized that there's a very small group of people that recover. The ones that do, they have the following in common. First of all, they will fight with every being in them to stay clean. Their greatest fear is relapse. Their sobriety is more important than anything else in their life. They will do nothing that would even slightly jeopardize their sobriety. Now, I wouldn't be an addiction counselor if I didn't have a little teaching in here somewhere. This includes alcohol. I know this is going to upset a few people, I really don't care. So the question is, how many of you, while drunk, have made the best decisions in your life? I raise my case. So, and the next thing is, and this is a tough one to understand, you have to realize that you are entitled to nothing. The world owes you nothing. The most angry I ever used to get was when I had someone sitting in class in front of me, and they had the attitude of, I need Milo and noodles, and my parents picked me here, so they will buy this for me. Dude. So, you have to understand, I wrote my thesis when I did my degree on trauma and addiction and how these two relate to each other. So I do understand that 99% of the time trauma is what leads to addiction. Now let me tell you about trauma. Trauma is like a bad house party where you were not invited to. So someone simply came in, they kicked down your door and they had a hell of a party. The next day you wake up and your house is trashed. There is chairs broken, there's cigarette butts everywhere, it is a mess. Now, you did not make this mess. But, and if you decide to not clean it because you did not make it, it's going to stay dirty. The next morning you're going to get up and the house will still be dirty. And the morning after you will get up and the house will still be dirty. Until you realize that you have to start cleaning that mess. Even though you did not make it, you have to clean it. So, you have to choose, and I do believe it's a decision, to let go of the things that happened to you in the past. Clean up the mess even if you didn't make it. You have to let go of that victim mentality. And I know it's tough. I really do understand it's tough. But at some point in your life, you have to decide that whoever did whatever to you no longer deserves any kind of say in the rest of your life. you have to decide that whatever power they had over you to ruin you this far is now done. They no longer deserve to affect your future. Okay, which brings me, so the pen is in your hands, you have to rewrite your own story. Okay, which brings me to the next point. Parents and loved ones. Addiction is a family illness. Now, usually when I work with a family that is related to anything with addiction, I would always ask the addict, who is your go-to person? Who's the person that understands you and is always there for you? And that's usually the person I will work with first. Why? Because that's usually the one that enables the addiction. Why? If you baby the addict, you will bury the addict. As simple as that. So, you will always have a person that is completely obsessed with everything related to the addiction, to the addict loved one's life. Every moment of your life is dedicated to trying to fix your addicted loved one, because if they are comfortable, they will not use. If they are not angry, they will not use. If I don't irritate them, they won't use. If I don't fight with them, they won't use. They're going to use, no matter what you do. And I think that was one of the most important points. That was a turning point for me in my life, when I realized that no matter what I do, the person will still use. Okay. So, what happens is you get so fixated on trying to fix your addicted loved one. In my case, what happened was, as soon as my loved ones, there was more than one, got clean, I had no idea who I was. I was so fixated on trying to fix them, trying to run their life, trying to keep them clean and sober. When they stopped using, I was lost. I had no idea who I was. I had no idea why I was here. And it took a long time for me to discover my purpose. Because despite what I believed, I was not created to fix my loved ones. I was created for more than this. So, when I was thinking about what I wanted, well, I've said a lot already, but what I wanted to talk about is the verse that I believe God gave me was, you were born for a time such as this. Now, and for some reason, I saw it differently this time. See, there is very few things in this earth I love more than horses. I love horses. So what would happen is you would have your bloodlines of your thoroughbreds that do the racing, and they will be bred for a very specific purpose, to run. So usually when these guys and girls are about 2 years old, they will go and they will start racing. And you will have these ones that just perform, and everyone will just say, you see, this one was born for running, he was born for racing. And it's just that in that moment God showed me, yes, you were born for a time like this, but before that, all of this training and things had to happen to prepare you for this moment in time which you were born for. So, that is why I think I started with all my studies. My husband likes to call it my DOC, because I'm obsessively always studying something. So what it comes down to is that we have to understand, I think just to summarize, I know it's not a very long thing, but to summarize is we have to make a choice, and we have to realize that we were created for more. There's a song that I heard the one day, and one specific verse of that song meant so much to me, and I would like to share it with you. It says, I will not grieve those darkest days that made a masterpiece. Thank you. Question and answer.
Yes, that'd be great.
I think there's lots of questions.
Yes.
Okay. Let's do a question and answer thing. Anyone? Any questions? Yes, let's start this side.
I want to know, if you are sober-minded, why would you go and use drugs? why, if you know that it's harmful to you, will still go on and use it?
Okay.
I'll answer that one.
Okay, there's an answer there.
You
And you
know,
want the same feeling.
On the same thing. But even though you know that it's harmful for you, why would you go back?
that's the insane part.
That's the insane
Sorry,
part.
Marisa.
No, please. No.
You can answer it, Brenda.
That's the insanity of Christ. You will go back to it and you don't care what it does as long as you get filled with it.
So that's actually just a non-kind.
So in order for you, I needed to change my whole life. I had to get rid of my friends, everything. I gave everything up to be clean. Do you know why? Because I wanted to be clean. And it was very hard. I didn't have the privilege to be by Doreen to learn how to cope if I get out of it. At the moment you know that I have this responsibility to be clean, then you will get clean. But you have to accept this responsibility because we're running away from it.
Okay, just to add that he does have some authority. He's almost 7 years clean of crystal, so if he speaks, he knows what he's talking about.
Well done.
Well done.
Questions this side, yes, ma'am.
I wanted to ask Marisa that when you were looking at the statistics that with the commonalities of people who are now scared of relapsing, that they were very cautious to not relapse. This is what helped them to stay sober. Did you also maybe pick up any spiritual patterns, like maybe it was Christianity or like any religion that maybe helped them as well to remain sober and to really stick to it because of spirituality?
Yes. What I want to say is, I honestly believe that when someone in addiction gets clean, it takes the same power of God that it would to raise someone from the dead. I think the intensity of the mightiness of God that is needed is exactly the same. Because to raise someone from dead and to grab someone from the hands of death, in my opinion, is the exact same thing.
Amen.
Does that answer your question?
Yes, it does. It does. But I wanted to find out, like, was it like more of Christianity, believing in Jesus Christ, or did they just have a spiritual
I hear
sense?
you. In my immediate environment, 99.9% of the people that I worked with in addiction were Christians.
Okay.
And they stayed clean because of God and because of trusting God. And like I said, I know we speak about the religious thing, and it is very, very, very important. But I would just like to add something this side as well, that getting clean and staying clean and not going back to drugs, it does mean, like I said, taking responsibility of what happened to you. Because it's very easy to fall back either in, I'm a victim, I couldn't help myself, here I go again, oh goodness, I can't stop it. And the world owes me something. My parents did not do this, or the world did not do this, therefore I shall. So yes, that is my opinion. Anything else?
Can I just add on something?
I'm sure you're welcome.
On what she's asked. I'm a prosecutor for 37 years. Over my
Sorry, you alright?
I'm a public prosecutor for
Yes.
37 years. And I've seen over the years, I've referred thousands of people involuntarily and voluntarily to rehab. And I realized over the years that where any rehab is Christian-based, the percentage of successes are way
Yes.
higher. Where it's not Christian-based, it's a 7% success.
I agree with you
And then
100%.
you're the expert on that, and maybe you can tell us it's a 7%. Where it's Christian-based,
I think non-Christian is about 3% to be correct.
yes, yeah,
3%.
very low, very low. So to answer her question, when it's Christian-based, I tell you, you are dead. You are dead.
I agree. Yes, you have a question?
Yes,
right here.
how do you deal with arrogance when the person just doesn't want to listen and humble themselves?
Is the person you?
It wasn't a point, yes.
Okay, because if the person is you, you can sort yourself out. If the person is someone else, you have no control, and you have to extract yourself and focus on yourself.
Okay.
You don't have any control over anyone else's actions. And I feel that if you allow someone else's actions to influence you, and I'm now going to be used because you were ugly to me, then you're making excuses. And I don't accept it. Sorry, I'm not very, I'm not a very nice person, apparently, but it's okay. It's fine. Like I said, you know what? It's because this to me is life and death. It's not a game. Yes.
I was wondering, throughout your course, okay, well, I want to go through the same course, but during your course, have you ever met with clients due to drugs and addiction have developed deficiencies or syndromes like bipolar or ADHD?
Yes, like okay. That thing is, it's a very, very good question. That thing is good. It's two-sided. Okay. First of all, if you look at the one, very few times when I've worked with someone in active addiction. So, I'm in active addiction, I go to the doctor, so I do not tell him what my actual story is. I just say, I get so depressed, and then I feel better, and then I sleep, and then I can't sleep. I don't tell him it's because I'm going up and down and high. And so what does it sound like? Bipolar. So what does it do? Gets me on meds. What do I do with the meds while I'm high? I don't take them or I take too much, and it's a vicious circle that goes over and over and over again. But I have to say, some things like ADHD, there was a study called ADHD, Addiction's Perfect Storm, where they actually found that people with ADHD there's a slight more tendency towards addiction because it helps you regulate all of those. Let's say you've got ADHD and you can't focus. Now all of a sudden you take something like cat or cocaine or crystal or whatever, and all of a sudden you can concentrate. You have this crystal clear focus on nonsense, but it's focused. So when you can focus for 8 hours, take radio apart, it's focus, but it's on nonsense, but that's the point. Which means that it's so necessary to have people that understand all these different aspects. Because addiction is so multifaceted. It is not, addiction is always a symptom, in my opinion, of something deeper or something else. So you have to get to the root of, like I said, 99% of the time it's trauma. So you have to deal with the trauma. You have to remember, if you get traumatized, especially at a young age, your nervous system doesn't know how to cope with this. So what would happen is 5 people would try whatever drug, going out to a party, trying whatever drug. 4 of them were not traumatized. The 5th one will experience for once in such a long time calm, peace. No, okay, at the beginning, we all know this now, the first stage, it goes downhill from there. But that is what, it's not necessarily the feeling, obviously drugs are nice when I want to do it, it's not just the feeling, but it's the escape. So if you do not deal with your trauma, and you do not deal with all of these things, and all of these, like I said, the people owe me everything, the world owes me, all of the victim, you're not going to make it. And I can't tell you, and I know you guys hear this over and over and over again, or you're going to end up dead or in jails. Guys, they die. I can't tell you how many times I've cried. People that I used to know here, work with, they died. In horrible ways. And I am doing this to scare you because you have to realize it's not a joke. Okay, sorry, got off track there. Yes.
Marisa, I just want to maybe this advice, give advice to parents or sponsors or whoever is putting somebody in a rehab. Here often people talk about tough love and this one and that kind of thing. But what is the best advice for the other party, not the one that's addicted, that's here, but the other party to sort of to help? I know you said it's not easy to help, but when they are here, how do they need to operate? What do they need to do to keep the person here?
Thank you. I understand exactly what you mean. As long as you keep the person comfortable, the longer you keep them comfortable, and the longer you take the responsibilities for them, the longer they will stay in addiction. So if your child phones you and complains about having to sweep the whatever, we all have to sweep whatever's at some stage. If the mistake many parents make, and I'm generalizing, please tell me if I'm wrong, 2 or 3 months in, 3 months usually, the child starts to look better, they've put on weight, the skin is nice and glowing, they convince their mom that I'm now healed, I'm fine, and then what the parents do? Take them out. They relapse. They will. And I know I'm going to anger some of the guys that are here because probably they're on that same route. 3 months here, parents now think I'm clean, I'm going to go home. No. Like I said before, I really don't care if I ruffle your feathers. If it keeps you alive, I'm fine with it. So when it comes to the parents, what I want to say is I had to get help. I had to get healing, and I had to learn, like I said, that my life is more than my addicted loved one. You are also born for a purpose. You were also born for a time such as this. And this time is not just to live for them. God did not create you just to live and take care of an addicted person. That is not how my God works.
Yeah, it's nurturing.
Yes. So what do you have to do? You have to learn. Remember that if you remember nothing about it as parents, remember that if you baby the addict, you will bury him.
Yes.
And as long as you keep him comfortable and as long as you take his consequences away, he will stay in addiction. It needs to be uncomfortable. He needs to take responsibility of his actions. And you need to have boundaries and you need to start protecting yourself. Because the one thing that is worse than addiction killing a person is addiction killing 2 people. Or a family. Fine. Yes.
I know this might sound ridiculous, but can you give any advice on how to survive an abusive relationship due to substance abuse? Let's say, for example, you're a teenager, like maybe 15, and your father is addicted to drugs, let's say cat, and he abuses you a lot. What advice would you give to end that?
Okay, so if you are underaged, there are different other options which include social workers. You have to understand that you have no power and ability to change your parent. They are not doing it. The first thing that I have to tell, they are not doing it because of you. They are doing it despite of you. Nothing that you can do and nothing you have ever done has caused their addiction. And nothing that you can do can stop it. You have no power. And if you need to get out of an abusive situation, you're going to have to go. And it's going to have to go the authority way. Social workers, you have to be removed and then replaced with another, because you do not have the power to do anything. I'm sorry, but that's the truth.
Yeah, it's very important to report it as soon as possible.
Okay,
Yes.
but let's say, well, while you're still there, and let's say he forces you to do drugs with him or use alcohol, how can you prevent that from happening? Like, how can you stop him from forcing you to do drugs? How can you put an end to that?
I'm trying to think of an answer, and my answer stays the same. That the minute that you start getting into a situation like that, after the first time, you report it. You don't allow yourself, and I'm saying allow yourself to put in that position. Don't think I don't understand the severity or the difficultness of what you're talking about. But you have to keep yourself safe. And if you are underage and not able to go, you need someone to provide help. And there is a help for that.
Okay,
Yes. Sorry, let me just finish it.
So, okay, let's say it starts at a young age. Let's say 4, and he does it behind your mother's back. How will that affect your life? Would it also lead you to addiction, or would you need counseling?
Of course you would need counseling to start off with, because someone that you entrusted with your safety has violated it. They have abused your trust, they have abused their authority as a parent, and they have not looked after you like they should have. So yes, of course you do need counseling.
But will it also lead to addiction?
The thing is, there's a lot of science and discussion behind, the chances are good, unfortunately. Why? Because that is what you know. There's something that said the other day when I was going down this whole trauma rabbit hole. It says, your nervous system will always choose a familiar hell over unfamiliar heaven. So if you know, if that is all that you know, but coming back to it, you are not a victim. At some stage, you're going to have to make the decision where you decide, well, this is what happened to me, but it is now done. I choose to go forward in this way, in this direction. What happened to me sucked, it was terrible, it was horrible, but it's done. So also to a point, there's a point where you have to decide that this is no longer a reason, but it's now turned into an excuse.
I wanted to just find out also as well, how damaging can the wrong environment or wrong friends be for somebody who is an ex-addict? Like after recovery now, I'm back in the real world, and then like
you're now superwoman and you want to fix everyone, and
yeah, I go back to my previous friends, and then I'm trying to now advise them and trying to encourage them that like, look, you can stop. But
what did he say? The first thing that you have to do is you have to change your whole life. They are no longer your friends. They were never your friends. They were your associates. You're providing them with money, what. Because friends don't watch other friends kill themselves.
From my side, cut everything off.
Wow.
Cut everything off. I had cut everything out of my life. I didn't even drive the same roads.
Sure.
Because I was too scared to get just a thought of drugs. So yeah, just start over new. I know it's hard, but I did it. And it's not easy. It's never easy. Because you think it's going to be easy to help somebody, you help yourself down in the gutters again.
They will always pull you down. You will never pull them up.
You will never pull them up.
If you I'm not sure if you were recovering, but when you were in addiction, was anyone able to pull you out? So why would you now be more powerful to be able to pull someone else out? The pulling out is not the thing, you have to climb out. No one can pull you. Yes, there in the back.
Yes, hello. I just wanted to ask, what would your advice be to, say, us addicts whose motivation was to use and achieve a good feeling? That's all that motivated us. What would you say to us who are recovering addicts and thereafter need to find new motivation and inspiration? Given that also the drugs affected our brains, so the balance of the chemicals, yeah.
And this is the point where once again people will not like me. But I'm not going to lie to you. It's going to take, you flooded your brain with dopamine every time you took drugs. You did damage. It's going to take a very, very long time, if ever, to fully recover. The level of ecstasy and joy that you experienced while you were high was unnatural. You will never again achieve that without drugs. Which sucks for you, because you have gone somewhere you were never supposed to go in the first place. You will now have to learn to live with what is normal. And you will get to a point where you will understand that that is enough. It can be enough. It can be enough to find joy in the family and to find joy in different places and in different things than you used to. It does take time. And it takes time for your brain to recover. I think it's about 2 years. But if you know this, if you expect this, you know that when you are in this thing, so go 3, 4, 5 months and you have now lost all feeling of joy and hope, it does pass. That is why it's important for you to know these things. That's why I'm not going to lie or sugarcoat anything ever. You have to be prepared to know this is what it's ahead, but after, it will be okay. I will be able to have a good and fulfilling life. You can only ride a roller coaster so long before you fall off. There is no longevity in this. It can't last. It will not last. You will end up in all these other places where they were telling you. This is sustainable, where you can build a family, where you can actually walk into the calling that God has for you. Because He did not create you to die in a ditch. Anyone else?
Yeah, how long was it? I think it was a year and 4 months. When I phoned you actually and said, listen, I'm experiencing joy.
Yeah, it was
a year and
long.
4 months.
It was a year
I
and 4
actually
months.
felt like really joyful. That's why I said it's not easy, especially when you were in Bristol and that. That is bad. It takes everything away from you. Your emotions, everything. And you get irritated. I don't know, how many of you are irritated when you have to sweep floors and cut grass and like, damn it, we need to do this. You know, so obviously you learn from the beginning how to handle your emotions again. Like a little teenager.
Yes.
And that's what my experience. I did really struggle. Oscar, I couldn't even stand in the bank. I turned around and walked out because I get irritated. But today I can do it. Today I can sit and wait. It's not easy.
Yeah.
Yes.
Can I just say, through my experience, I find that when I help others, when I work with other people, it does help a bit. Like building on unity, I find that doing selfless acts. Back when I was in Leidenberg, we used to do altruistic acts for other people, and I found that it helped me to feel good about myself when I was actually working in unity with other people, developing, brotherhood or.
We need a purpose. We all need a purpose. We all need to live somewhere or do something for others. That's how we were created. That's how we find joy. But you can do that without going the route of trying to pull addicts out. You can go to the old age home and visit the aunties there. You can go to the schools and sweep the passages. There's ways of doing it separate from going back to to people in addiction. But like I said, I understand you come out of here and you feel superhuman because you have to recharge and you have dealt with your things. But always remember the way that you were when you were in addiction. No one could come say anything, and all these guys came to you, and you were like, whatever. So nothing has changed. You have changed, but the people have not changed. So don't go there. You can only roll in the mud for so long without being dirty.